Capcom finally confirms new Resident Evil game is in development. Grant Taylor Hill over Insider Gaming. Scott, during the recent Capcom Next program, it was revealed by Koshi Nakanishi, a director at the firm, that a new Resident Evil game is in development, and it's substantial. The news comes following months of discussion, debate, and discourse about the existence of a new Resident Evil title. It's worth highlighting that this isn't a remake, but an original concept that's being headed up by the man who directed Resident Evil 7. Scott. Speaking
this is a very strong indication to me of what this game is going to be like.
Speaking at the end of the Capcom Next Summer 2024 program, Nakaishi addressed the project he's working on at Capcom. We're making a new Resident Evil. It was really difficult to figure out what to do after Resident Evil 7, but I found it, and to be honest, it feels substantial. I can't share any details just yet, but I hope you're excited for the day I can. It reminds me of the presentation at Square Enix where, please be excited for E3. Well, it's just like, man, really? We'll just be excited for when the game comes. Scott, there's news. A new game is coming. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, it's not an incredible surprise. We know the Resident Evil is one of the core pillars that Capcom has enjoyed in recent years, but it's just a matter of what is that game going to look like. I think the discussion was mostly about how, all right, well, they've redone Resident Evil 1, I believe twice. They've redone Resident Evil 2, they've redone Resident Evil 3 and 4, again twice. The next logical step was, okay, are we going to get 5? And is 5 going to be the Resident Evil that it should have been on launch, because it was kind of a weird one, but it appears that is not happening, at least not yet. The idea of a new Resident Evil is both safe and enjoyable, in my opinion. Now, I haven't played 8, but it's curious that Resident Evil Village is not what people point to as the example of what the last game was. 7 is held in such high regard for being that first-person shooter one.
Right.
But I'm not certain what happened with 8 as to why that's not the crown jewel.
I don't know. You might have to go back and dive into that one to figure that one out, right? But a lot of people do reference 8. They love 8. They thought it was a great game. So, yeah, it is weird. I'm not a Resident Evil fan. We all know that, right? It's just not my genre whatsoever.
Because it's 7 versus 8, I think the hint in there is that it's not going to be the giant open world that it was expected to be.
Gotcha. What do you expect then from the next Resident Evil? A lot like narrow corridors then in this case? Jump scares galore? What are you looking forward to?
I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of the classic kind of elements because of the remakes they've done.
Right.
So I think it's going to stick true to that kind of early formula. But putting that through the lens of number 7, I think it could be really, really interesting. This might be the right combination for me because I had a lot more connection with that first-person game.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, a lot of people are all over the remakes, right? So then why not maybe iterate on the remakes, make something new and fresh, and experience those?
Yeah, I thought this might be the proper marriage of those two ideas. Something new and then something old, but combined again. Because running through Resident Evil 2 again, and then 3, I was thinking to myself, a first-person mode would be interesting in certain parts here, but it remains to be seen if you can make that work.
Well, Resident Evil did make its way into VR at one point too, right? I think it was Resident Evil 7 had a VR mode. So, man,
that sounds so good to me.
That was terrifying. But yeah, no thanks. I'll pass. That's a hard pass for me on that one. But we want to hear from you. Hit us up, itgtv.com. Are you excited for whenever we get this next Resident Evil game?